Good evening, everyone.
Hello.
We are Digital Hammurabi, back again for another book club.
And Pond,
And
who has
Pond.
been shaved since you last saw him.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys can see that, but his fur he's about 8 sizes smaller.
Not any lighter, however.
Much to his chagrin.
Yes, we decided that eating cat hair was not terribly exciting. So we gave him a trim. And now we're no longer eating cat hair.
Yeah.
It's a good thing.
He's much more streamlined now. Although
It's what you want in a cat, streamlined.
Yeah. Although I did just find 4 hairs in my coffee, so I don't know that we've really done anything beneficial. So
We tried.
yeah. Well,
he also looks a bit like a sheepskin rug. I don't know if you can see the texture properly, but he's less like a dandelion and much more like a sheepskin rug.
We're going to have to put cat in the title of this video, I think, probably.
We just need to make a compilation of all the video clips that involve Pond and Thomas doing the things that they do. Because I think last week Pond was lying here somewhere and was spread out as if he was modeling a swimsuit or something. It was a little bit strange.
Indeed. Indeed.
Anyway, sorry.
So how's everybody doing? How's everybody doing tonight? For those of you that don't know, and there are 5 watching now, so I suspect all of you do know, but just in case, we are Digital Hammurabi. I'm Dr. Josh. This is Megan. And
That's not some weird patriarchal thing, by the way. I just don't have my doctorate yet.
Oh, yeah. Believe me, she's going to be Dr. Lewis.
Dr. Megan!
No diggity, no doubt. Play on player.
I love you.
You can tell that we take this very seriously.
This is my serious face.
Yeah, this is
Hey, Paige.
Hello.
That's Paige.
That's Paige. She's
Am I Dr. Bowen?
yeah,
Not yet.
almost.
Almost Dr. Barrett.
I told her that she can do whatever she wants in life right after she gets her law degree. So
Yes.
yeah.
Well, that says I'm not supposed to be a lawyer anyways. Because I failed to get you another subscriber.
Oh
You
no!
can do environmental law. I think we decided environmental law was
Yeah.
appropriate.
I care about the environment.
Hooray.
Also, I'm going against animal abuse.
That's good.
Oh,
As I abuse a
hang on.
child.
Put him down.
You abuse him.
All right. Well,
Farewell.
Bye, honey.
Daddy, you have been... I'm going to sue you for animal abuse once again.
well, there you go. Thank you, thank you, sweetheart.
Our children, everybody.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't know where to go from there. So what we do with the help of Paige, if you've seen any of our early videos, Paige helped us out. If you haven't, if you want to see her at her finest, go click on the Akitu Festival. Actually, Megan, I think
Put a link in.
she'll put a link in at the end of the video. She slaps me in the face. So she really enjoyed doing that. Yes, and she says she was better at memorizing the states. That was another video on Scribal education. Yeah. But anyhow, so really quick, what we do, just so that we get that out there, is our goal is to try to take this heady, esoteric, ancient Near Eastern stuff and bring it down to an understandable level.
See,
right?
Pond's helping again.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Thank you. Try to bring it.
So glad I pointed that out.
I am.
I'm going to stop talking now.
No, you're good. You bring the viewers in, so that's.
Well, I'm not sure about that.
So we try to make the ancient Near East understandable. So I do a lot of things with, obviously, Sumerian and Akkadian with the Old Testament, the Hebrew of the Old Testament. I even get into the Greek a little bit of the New Testament, but I try to stay away from that well, as much as I can. Mm-hmm. But so the purpose, and of course Megan does Akkadian and she does Sumerian as well, and she's big in ancient Near Eastern art and history, and anyway, so I think and literature. That's exactly right.
And digital humanities. If you're at all interested in digital humanities, email me because I am also interested in digital humanities.
Yeah, no doubt. So what we decided to do a couple weeks ago is start what we're calling a book club. And basically, Skylar Fiction and I, who is amazing, and if you haven't checked out his channel, please go do so, Skylar Fiction. And he does all kinds of great stuff. He debates theists a lot on his channel. But one of the things that he wanted to do starting maybe a month and a half ago is he wanted to start reading through the Bible. And he asked me if I would join him to sort of be a commentator to provide some background on the language and on the history and the culture, that sort of thing. So I've done that a little bit. I went on Milwaukee Atheists, another great channel. Go check them out. Subscribe to Skylar. Subscribe to us, please. And Megan will talk about that in just a second. But anyway, we decided that we were going to start reading through not everybody. A lot of people have been reading through the Bible, and I think Skylar's doing a fantastic job. Milwaukee Atheists doing a fantastic job. I really think Skylar's doing a fantastic job, primarily because I'm with him all the time when we do it, so it's a little biased. But anyway, we don't really see a lot of people reading through the Old Akkadian and Mesopotamian, Sumerian literature. And so we decided we were going to do that because we have a background in it, and we know it fairly well. And we thought we'd do it live so you guys can show up, ask your questions. You can hear our very scholarly serious analysis of the text. And so you'll hear me talk a lot, which is probably not a good thing, but Megan should talk more. So in light of that, Megan is going to make some announcements.
I'm now going to talk more. We have some exciting announcements. Firstly, I have finally persuaded Josh that given we have 3 children, he works full-time, and technically I'm a full-time student, we probably don't have enough free time to be putting up a video every single day. It would be one thing if it was just this kind of thing where we sit down in front of the camera and talk, but because what we're trying to do is present scholarly academic information, it does actually require quite a lot of research on our end to make sure what we're saying is current and not crazy and can be backed up by some kind of evidence. So in light of that, to save our own sanity, at least until I have a little bit more free time, we're going to switch from doing uploads every day in the week to doing Monday, Wednesday, Friday, which sucks, but is also good because, like I said, we need our sanity.
It's a wise decision.
It's a necessary decision right now. It's not a permanent change,
not excited,
but for now it will work, and it means that we can keep the quality of what we produce.
That's true.
Up. Secondly, and more excitingly, we're up to 928 subscribers, which is amazing because we started this in April.
And we had 0 when we started.
Had 0 when we started.
So.
And now we have 928, which is awesome.
Which is all thanks to you guys. There's no
Yes.
question about it. And Paige.
I think Paige is thanking all of our subscribers on our behalf from the living room where she is playing Mario. Okay, well, I'm going to close the door, sweetheart, because I can't hear what you're saying and it's quite confusing. Thirdly, is thirdly a word? Third. I don't think thirdly is a word. So third.
I don't know. I write it in a lot of my papers. So
I do, but then it gets crossed out by my professors.
Maybe they'll just sit and chuckle at me.
I don't think it's an actual word. Third, we are going to do the somewhat traditional 1,000 subscriber celebration when we hit it, which we did toy with the idea of doing a sing-along like Scientist Mel does. But the song I wanted to do is The Mesopotamians by They Might Be Giants. Which requires the ability to sing. Well, he's very good at singing, but it goes a little bit too high for his range. So we're not doing that. Instead, dun dun dun, we're going to do a special episode of the Digital Hammurabi Book Club, the Sitchin edition.
Oh, snizzle.
Yes.
So, is that a word?
No. I don't think so. So we will go through some of Zachariah Sitchin's more interesting claims about Sumerian and Mesopotamia, and read through the book like we do here and talk about it.
But just parts of it.
Not the whole thing, because that's a long book. But I'll pick out some sections. We'll talk about it. We'll tell you why they're totally insane. And we'll tell you the truth, because unlike Zachariah Sitchin, we can both read Sumerian, which does help if you're making an argument from a dead language to be able to read it.
That's a good point.
And
It's a fair call.
finally, thank you. And finally, we have coming up a live stream interview with Jens Notroff, who is one of the archaeologists digging up Göbekli Tepe, which is super cool. Again, not aliens. It's not.
I mean, the fact that we have to be convincing about that, I think, is the...
We do, though.
We do.
And poor Dr. Notroff spends a lot of his time on Twitter trying to convince people that it's not aliens. So that is coming up on October the 13th, and it is, I think, 2:30 p.m. EST. But I will continue to remind people because I think it's going to be a really cool interview, and it should be very interesting. So that is all of our exciting news.
All right. So given that we are at 928 subscribers, if you could, it would be fantastic if you haven't subscribed already. I'm sure most of you have, but if you haven't, please subscribe to our channel. Go to Skylar Fiction's channel and subscribe to him. And if you haven't gone to
Skylar's listening. Hello, Skylar.
Mr. Fiction, how you be, sir? And if you haven't seen Milwaukee Atheist channel, please go subscribe to them. I know there's something going around now about the non sequitur on Twitter about them and their copyright thing that sounds very, very silly. So if you can help out with that, that'd be fantastic. Anyway, sorry, I'll stop. But anyhow, just a lot of great channels on YouTube and that we interact with, and we'd love to have everybody support them. I'm sure most of you already do. So with that much being said, let's get started. Are there any questions? Or
We should probably tell them what we're reading.
Ah, yes. Well, we did.
We did?
Well, I mean,
I wasn't paying enough attention.
no, I mean, like I did in the, the thing,
Description.
the description. But we are reading through the Anzu Myth, and the Anzu Myth is it's preserved from the beginning of the second millennium, so the period called the Old Babylonian period. We have a version of it then, and there's a first millennium version that's more better. It's better preserved.
More better.
More better or preserved.
I think most more better is technically.
That's how you're
correct.
supposed
Yeah.
to say it. I don't abide by these grammatic. I'm not held back by these prescriptive restraints. So the story is fantastic. It is one of my favorites. I feel like I have a lot of Akkadian favorite stories.
Well, they're all favorites. They're all wonderful.
They're the most favorite.
You're the most favorite.
Come on, somebody. So the Anzu Myth is about the Anzu bird. He's a divine figure that features actually very prominently in ancient Near Eastern art. Megan can speak to that far more than I could, but
He's a giant bird with a lion's head,
come on now. Who doesn't love that?
associated with storms, thunder, lightning, all that kind of stuff.
And when Enlil, he's placed in charge by one of the big three gods, Enlil, of guarding his cella.
Cellar is a temple.
Right.
Cella, not
Yeah, it's
the
like
kind
it's,
of cellar where one keeps beer and wine.
that's right, not cellar. Yeah, that's sorry, I forget that you have this better pronunciation of English than I do. And there was a time that I used to make fun of her nicely, though, because she'd beat me up.
I did not beat you up.
Well, you would have, theoretically, ostensibly, where she put R's on the ends of people's names. How'd you say Anna's name? Anna. But anyway, it's
You're
funny.
making fun of my
I'm not. Like, I love it. It's okay. Sorry. So Enlil has Anzu bird guarding his cella, and he goes to take a bath, and he takes the Tablet of Destinies, which is a tablet that sort of controls the natural world. It's really awesome. And he puts it down to, go and take a bath. And the Anzu bird steals it, flies off to a mountain. And of course, this sends everybody into an uproar because now Anzu has all the power. And this story is about them sending a deity to go fight the Anzu bird to take the Tablet of Destinies back. I did a video about this where I summarized the text and then I compared it to the Enuma Elish, the Mesopotamian creation myth. And basically, we'll see this as we read through the story, and I'll highlight some of those things as well, Megan. Where the Enuma Elish, the big first millennium text, probably 11th or 12th century, it was written, but the big first millennium text that was used in the Akitu festival in the New Year's festival. Every year it was read aloud. Central part of the ritual. This story essentially borrows the main themes and the main part of the storyline from this Anzu myth, and takes all of a lot of the things that are ascribed to Ninurta, who is the god that's going to be doing the fighting in the Anzu myth, and describes them to Marduk. And there are some interesting changes that take place in the Enuma Elish, which makes Ninurta even more powerful. He's like the brand new Ninurta 2.0. Is there a brand new?
Ninurta rebooted.
Yeah, Ninurta rebooted. I tried to say it with your pronunciation. How did I do?
I think you did quite well.
Jolly good show. Quite right. So, on that
He's teaching our 5-year-old to say quite right.
She does say it. She goes, quite right. On that very intelligent note of mine, shall we move into the story?
We should.
All right.
We should.
Since I've talked a lot, you should open.
Righty-ho.
So we're going to read the first millennium version. Sorry. Here, you talk. Wait, let me talk more. We're going to read the first millennium version because it's better preserved. But the two versions are pretty similar. So, okay.
Son of the king of the inhabited world, splendid one, beloved of Mami, the mighty one I ever sing. Oh, the mighty one will I ever sing, divine firstborn of Enlil, Ninurta, the splendid one, beloved of Mami. The mighty one will I ever praise, divine firstborn of Enlil. Born in Acor, leader of the Anuna gods, a Ninu's hope, who waters pen, garden, town, street, and city, waves of battles, dancer in combat, sash of valor, whose tireless onset raging fiends dread, hear the praise of the mighty one's power. It is he who in his fierceness bound and fettered the stone creatures, overcoming soaring Anzu with his weapon, slaying the bullman in the midst of the sea. Doughty, valorous, murderous with his weapon, mighty one, fleet of foot, always leader in fight and fray. Before that, no dais had been built among the Yagigi gods. It was the Yagigi gods who knelt in their supremacy.
So you can see, just if I could break in here, there's a lot of tradition that goes along with Ninurta. So these things that they're talking about here, bounding the stone creatures, of course here overcoming soaring Anzu, slaying the bullman, all of these things are traditions that go along that the people hearing this would be able to associate Ninurta with that. So this isn't the first text, right? So, sorry, if you want to talk about any of this, go ahead. The second thing that you need to note is that this is, obviously, as you hear, a praise to Ninurta, right? And so Ninurta is going to be considered in this text, maybe not the chief god, right? But he's going to do things that all the other gods don't do or won't do or can't do. And so
like Marduk in the Enuma Elish.
That's exactly right. So Marduk is going to borrow the editor, the writer, whatever of the Enuma Elish is going to borrow this theme, and he's going to redevelop it even in an even more prominent way. So, okay, sorry, go for it. Playing around on Facebook. See this?
Sorry, so I've got someone coming to pick up some tea.
I'm just teasing. Just teasing.
Sorry.
Tigris and Euphrates.
Tigris and Euphrates rivers had been fashioned, but the springs were not bearing their waters to the land. The very seas, clouds were from the horizon. For those of you who haven't watched one of these yet, these texts are not always terribly well preserved. If I show you, you see those parentheses there. That means that the rest of that line is not preserved. So rather than try and fill it in or skip it, I'm going to read what's there and then pause so you know that there's something missing. It sounds a little weird, but it's the most accurate way to do it. Clouds were from the horizon. Then were the Yagigi gods convened from all parts. To Enlil, their father, warrior of the gods, did his children bring the news. Heed you well the propitious word. On Shashar mountain, in its fork, the Anuna gods, it bore Anzu, his beaker sore. Go out and, at his clamor, the south wind. This is really fragmentary. I'm really sorry. The massive, the voluminous flooding crest, the whirlwinds, they met, and the four winds. When the father of the gods saw him, he took what they said of him to his heart. He inspected Anzu closely, debated with himself. Who bore? Why this? Ea answered the query of his heart. The leader said to Enlil these words, no doubt the waters of the flood, the pure waters of the gods of the deep, the wide earth conceived him. He is the one born in the rocks of the mountain. It is Anzu you have seen. Let him serve you ceaselessly. Let him always block the way to the cellar seat. So here the gods have discovered this creature, the Anzu bird, and they're debating about what it is, where it came from, and what its purpose is. And his purpose is assigned to him by the leader, On. One of the senior gods.
I mean, it ends up being Enlil that he's guarding.
That's true. But it's someone says to Enlil. The leader
I'm sorry.
Yeah. So probably On decides that this creature is going to be assigned as kind of like a bodyguard or a bouncer, maybe. Stop people getting into the
bouncer.
Temple. Yeah, so he's a bouncer for
Gotta
Enlil's
slip
temple.
him a 50.
Yep. And then you might be allowed, or if you're a really attractive woman. I mean, I can see Enlil being down with that.
Yeah, that's true.
So
they're not exactly the most morally sound individuals.
No. So the Anzu bird is kind of pressed into service to guard the temple of Enlil. And now it's your turn.
Beautiful. If you like what you see here, by the way, please feel free to share the link, like on your Facebook or Twitter or whatever. And yeah, let's get some more people in here if you want. All right. Anyway, okay. The god consented to the word he spoke to him. He took up holy places and gave to all the gods their responsibilities. He would reinstitute the decree each morning, and Anzu would hold. Enlil entrusted him with the entrance to the cella, which he had wrought. He was wont to bathe in pure waters before him. His eyes looked upon the trappings of supremacy. On his lordly crown, his divine apparel, on the tablet of destinies in his hands, Anzu was wont to gaze. He was wont to gaze indeed at the father of the gods, divine Doranki. He resolved in his heart to make off with supremacy. So Anzu's deciding, obviously, I'm going to go take that thing and I'm going to be the one in charge. Anzu was wont to gaze at the father of the gods, divine Doranki. He resolved in his heart to make off with supremacy. I myself will take the gods' tablet of destinies. Then I will gather to myself the responsibilities of all the gods. I will have the throne for myself. I will take power over authority. I will be commander of each and every Igigi god. His heart plotted the assault. At the entrance to the cella where he was wont to gaze, he bided his time. When Enlil was bathing in the pure waters, undressed, his crown set on the throne, he took control of the tablet of destinies. He took supremacy. Authority was overthrown. Anzu soared off and made his way to his mountain. Awful silence spread. Deathly stillness reigned. Their father and counselor Enlil was speechless. The cella was stripped of its divine splendor. The gods of the land converged, one after another, for a plan. Something that we should probably point out is that for those of you that have been watching our channel for a little while, if you've seen our videos, I did summaries of the Sumerian literary texts about Enmerkar. And one of them was the Lugal Banda and the Anzu bird, which deals with, it's the second part of a two-part two-part series. It's not a long series, but anyway, two parts of a story talking about Lugal Banda, and he gets sick in a mountain cave and he's healed, and then he meets up with the Anzu bird. Now, Anzu bird's off in his mountain at his big nest, and actually the Anzu bird is a great guy.
Helpful,
and
thoughtful.
And early in Mesopotamian theology, the Anzu bird actually is it's a good creature, right? So this is a change. This is something different here in the first part of the second millennium, and it's something that we need to note. This shift into him becoming a bad character.
So he's, in case it was unclear in the story, he has kind of waited until Enlil has undressed to bathe, and Enlil has laid his clothes and his accessories out on a ledge so they don't get wet, which is something that we all do. When I'm bathing, I make sure I remove my Tablet of Destinies.
Yes.
So that it doesn't get wet in the shower. And Anzu bird has taken them. And the important thing to know about the Tablet of Destinies is it's not just a tablet. It's really quite important, and it kind of...
it's of destinies.
It is of destinies, but it's used to decree the fates of the whole world, really. So whatever is written on the Tablet of Destinies becomes true. And this causes problems later in the story, because if you're trying to defeat a creature that has a magic tablet that kind of makes reality however the creature wants reality to be, that's not a good thing.
Yeah, and one of the things about the tablet is that it doesn't, at least in these texts, in the mythological realm, it doesn't need to actually be written on the tablet. The creature that holds it can but speak, and the things that it says causes that reality to take place. So, and that becomes obviously actually a critical part of this story. So, do you want me to keep going? You want to read?
I will go.
I'm going to grab a beer. You want one?
No, thank you. I'm good. Right, the gods have decided this isn't a good thing, so they've all gathered together to make a plan. They do this quite a lot. I think most myths involve the gods gathering together to make some kind of plan, and often it goes spectacularly wrong, and they flood the world and then decide they didn't want to flood the world, and they're very indecisive. Anu made ready to speak, saying to the gods, his children, which one would slay Anzu? He shall make for himself the greatest name in every habitation. They summoned the irrigator, Anu's son. Plan made, he said to them. They summoned Adad, the irrigator, Anu's son. Plan made, he said to them, O mighty one, Adad, victorious Adad, let your battle not waver. Blitz Anu with your weapon. Let your name be greatest among all the great gods. You shall have no equal among the gods, your brethren. Let there be daises to be built. Establish your holy places in the 4 world regions. Let your holy places come into Acor. Show yourself mighty before the gods, for your name shall be mighty one. Adad answered the command. To Anu, his father, he said these words. My father, who would assault an inaccessible mountain? Which of the gods, your children, can overcome Anzu? He took control of the Tablet of Destinies. He took away supremacy. Authority is overthrown. Anzu soared off and made his way to his mountains. His utterance has become like that of the divine Doranki. If he commands, the one he curses will turn into clay. The gods were despondent at his utterance. He turned away. He refused to go. They called Gira, firstborn of Ananetum. Plan made, he said to them, O mighty one, Gira, victorious Gira, let your battle not waver. Blitz Anzu with your weapon. Let your name be greatest among the great gods. You shall have no equal among the gods, your brethren. Let there be daises to be built. Establish your holy places in the 4 world regions. Let your holy places come into Acor. Show yourself mighty before the gods, for your name shall be mighty one. Gira answered the command. To Anu, his father, he said these words. My father, who would assault an inaccessible mountain? Which of the gods, your children, can overcome Anzu? He took control of the Tablet of Destinies. He took away supremacy. Authority is overthrown. Anzu soared off and made his way to his mountain. His utterance has become like that of divine Doranki. If he commands, the one he curses will turn to clay. So what's happening here is the gods are calling their best warriors in succession and saying, you're amazing. You will get all of this great stuff if you just do this tiny thing for us. Go and defeat the Anzu bird and get back the Tablet of Destinies. And the gods that they're nominating for this great honor are saying, basically, you are fucking nuts, dude. I'm not doing that. That's crazy. He will not, I'll lose, basically.
And this is one of the interesting things that the writer of Enuma Elish does to build up Marduk even more. And I'll just point these things out as we go. The gods that are being asked to go are sort of lower level gods, even though they're mighty gods. They're not, some of the primary gods. You may not have heard of them, right? However, in Enuma Elish, the senior gods try to go. Enki, Ea, tries to go, right, and turns back against Tiamat, against and Kingu, the one that holds the Tablet of Destinies, but essentially against Tiamat. And so here's one of the comparisons where you see not only is it the lesser gods that go and turn back in the Anzu myth, it's these great gods, some of the main gods that try to go in Enuma Elish and are too scared to go back to continue on. So Marduk, when Marduk accepts the challenge, it shows that he's even better than Ninurta, because Ninurta went when some of the lesser gods wouldn't go. Marduk is going when the main gods won't go, right? So it's something to note. Anyway, you may read for a bit? Or you want to keep going? I'm sure they want to hear you, but I don't want to wear you out.
Let me go until...
Sure. I'll continue to drink my Heavy Seas Americanon.
We like a good pun.
Little product placement there.
The gods were despondent at his utterance. He turned away. He refused to go. They called Shara, firstborn of Ishtar. And interestingly, this is one of the only places that I know of where Ishtar is listed as an actual maternal figure. I'm sure there are others, but this is the only one that I can think of.
Normally she just gets children. It on.
Yeah, normally she just gets jiggy with it. But here she actually has a child.
I love you saying that with your accent.
Thank you. They called Shara, firstborn of Ishtar. Plan made, he said to him, O mighty one, Shara, victorious Shara, let your battle not waver. Blitz Anzu with your weapon. Let your name be greatest among all of the great gods. You shall have no equal among the gods your brethren. Let there be daises to be built. Establish your holy places in the 4 world regions. Let your holy places come into Acor. Show yourself mighty before the gods, for your name shall be mighty one. Shara answered the command. To Anu, his father, he said these words. My father, who would assault an inaccessible mountain? Which of the gods your children can overcome Anzu? He took control of the Tablet of Destinies. He took away supremacy. Authority is overthrown. Anzu flew off and made his way to his mountain. His utterance has become like that of divine Duranki. If he commands, the one he curses will turn into clay. The gods were despondent at his utterance. He turned away. He refused to go. The gods were spent and left off making proposals. The Yagigi gods, still in session, were frowning and in a turmoil. The Lord of Wisdom, who dwells in the depths, the clever one, was devising an idea in his cunning mind.
And this is what Ea does. This is what Enki does.
It's what he did last week in the flood story. He comes up with really clever plans and then gets other people to execute them.
As Piper would say, that's what he does.
That's what he does. It's just what he does. Ea devised wisdom in his heart. What he thought of in his mind, he explained to Anu. Let me give a command and so find the god, for then I will appoint Anzu's conqueror in the assembly. Let me be the one to find the god, for then I will appoint Anzu's conqueror in the assembly. When the Yagigi gods heard this speech of his, the Yagigi gods restored, did homage to him. Sorry, I never know how to pronounce that. Homage.
Homage.
I'm not going to do that because that sounds like I'm trying to do a very bad French accent.
Oh, I thought it was Spanish.
See, he says stuff like this all the time, and I'm like, I don't think it's Spanish, honey. I think it's French. And he's like, I know.
Hi, Thomas.
This is Thomas, by the way, on my... Oh, sorry, Thomas.
Nice.
I was trying to show everyone, and he left, and Thomas is our other cat, who is much more camera shy than Pond. So
he's MMCS.
He is. The Yagigi gods restored, did homage to him. The leader made ready to speak, saying to Anu and Dagon these words, Let them summon to me the mistress of the gods, sister of the great gods, the resourceful one, counselor of the gods, her brethren. Let them proclaim her surpassing greatness in the assembly. Let all the gods honor her in their assembly. Then I will explain to her the idea of my heart. You do that. I'm going to get Paige
Okay.
round up for bed.
And I know that I'm not the greatest at checking the side chat,
I'll be back in a second.
but Megan said she'll be back in a second. You probably heard her. If you have questions as we read through this, I mean, we're doing this obviously for you. So please feel free to stop us. If you can, say like at Digital Hammurabi so it shows up on our thing. I mean, it'll show up anyway. Yeah, it'll show up anyway. Anyway, sorry. Also, there was something else I was going to say about. Well, damn, I don't remember what it was. Yeah, I was gonna tell them something. There was something we forgot to tell them at the beginning.
We'll come back.
Yeah, theoretically. Okay. Explain the idea from his cunning mind. Formerly, we called you Mommy. Now let Mistress of all the gods be your name. Give us the mighty one, your superb beloved, the broad-chested one who is ever leader in fight or fray. Give us Ninurta, your superb beloved, the broad-chested one who is ever leader in fight or fray. He shall be Lord in the assembly of the gods. He shall be proud in all, a holy place, Lord, a festival, for those just joining us, if we pause like that, that means there's a break in the text, and we're trying to represent it by our silence. When she heard this speech of his, she of surpassing greatness, the most exalted mistress of the gods, assented. When she spoke, the Agigi gods rejoiced. Restored, they did homage to her. She summoned her son in the assembly of the gods, commissioning her heart's beloved, saying to him, before Anu and Dagon, they have discussed in the assembly what has happened to authority. I bore all the Agigi gods. I made every single one of them. I made all the Anuna gods. To my brother, supremacy. I assigned kingship of heaven to Anu. Anzu has thrown into confusion the kingship I appointed. The Tablet of Destinies, Anzu has taken control. He snatched from Enlil. He has spurned your father. He has snatched away authority. He has turned it over to himself. So that's the end of Tablet 1. But you notice also, did my phone disappear?
I ate it.
Oh, well, I had it there because if people, there it is.
I didn't release. I just put my book on top of it.
If people subscribe while we're doing this, I read out the names of people who subscribe. So anyway, little incentive. If you haven't subscribed, you can have your name shouted out here. It's not really.
Well, we've got 25 people watching. So
yeah,
25 people will hear your
prestige level. Anyway. But notice here what's happening is the gods are still having to go and find a god. They're having to convince a god. And so, Mommy, she's having her name changed to a more prestigious name. And she's saying, go, please, ask your son to come and to do this. Well, this is going to be different in the Enuma Elish because Marduk essentially he's asked to go and to be to visit with the god that's really concerned about all the terrible things that are happening. But it's Marduk that by himself says, I'm going to go get this thing back. I'm going to go destroy, the enemy. So again, Ninurta has to be asked. He does assent to, and does the deed. But Marduk doesn't even have to be asked, right? He just goes for it himself. That's how great he is. So
Marduk is just that awesome.
Yes.
It's probably to do with the size of his penis.
Probably.
We should just do a show called Enki's Penis.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Enki's penis is like a character in and of itself. It turns up in so much mythology. Sorry, I'm not even drinking tonight.
Sure?
This is me on tea.
Ah, well, that's what it is. It's that British tea. So
It is.
jolly good, Joe.
Bip, bip.
I don't think you do it right.
I probably don't. I didn't think I ever said pip pip until I met you.
When we first met, I was trying to think up the Cockney rhymes. So I'd
Cockney rhyming slang.
yeah, and so I'd come up to her and say, "Has anybody seen my titfa?"
I'm like, no.
It's
Are you
my.
propositioning me? What's going on here?
It means my hat, because tit for tat hat.
And I said, ah.
She was like, "You're a moron," and she probably still says that at
I
times.
do not say that ever.
You think it? I don't like this guy. He can read minds. Okay, I feel like we're just hanging out now. And
We are.
There aren't actually people watching us.
No,
Sorry.
we've lost a viewer, actually. It's because I've been talking about Enki's penis.
Oh, we apologize for that profusely. All right. It really is. It's like a character in and of itself. Tablet 2, the Anzu Myth. Are there any questions, by the way?
Well, Xanos Carthage said, again, going back to Enki's penis, he thought it was slightly reversed with the penis size, or is that just how the Greeks viewed it? I don't know if a big penis was a good thing in ancient Mesopotamia.
Well, I mean, Enki is described.
That's a big dick.
Yeah, and I'm trying to remember the text.
I mean, he's like the big, like, powerful god.
Yeah.
Sorry, that wasn't me measuring his penis. I was trying to indicate his position on the social hierarchy of the gods. I'm going to stop talking now.
No, I mean, I think this will ultimately bring in the viewers. Actually, no, we've lost 2 more. Well, there you go. Yes, that's a good question. We'll do a little work on that.
Yeah, don't know.
Okay. Tablet 2.
Moving on.
Blitz the way. Choose your moment. Make light come out for the gods I made. Launch your fullest attack. Let your ill winds go against him. This is important. Conquer soaring Anzu. Remember, this is her imploring Ninurta to go and to fight. Flood the earth where he was made. Bring chaos upon his dwelling. Let your armor clash against him. Let your fierce battle keep raging against him. May whirlwinds totally block him. Draw the bow. Let the arrows be poison to him. Let your feathers turn into a fiend's. Send forth a mist so he cannot distinguish your face. Let your brilliant glow move against him. Let your radiance be glorious. You should have an awe-inspiring sheen. Let the sun not shine upon him. Let the bright day turn to gloom for him. Kill him. Conquer Anzu. Let the winds bear off his wing feathers as glad tidings. To the temple of Acor, to your father Enlil. Pause for just a second. A lot of this language you see showing up in other myths. So some of this stuff shows up in at least these types of images show up in the Gilgamesh epic and its basis in Gilgamesh and Huwawa when he goes and he fights against Humbaba, when they fight against Humbaba. So these ideas of winds going out to fight against and to strike. But this is really going to show up in the Enuma Elish because this is the exact kind of language that's used when Marduk goes and fights against Tiamat.
Going to break in for 1 second.
Sure.
Michael W. Roble says, what's the possibility that the blanks might be filled in? Have multiple copies of stories been found that closely match? I answered in the chat, very likely. Actually, we have a lot of literary texts that have multiple copies and multiple copies from different cities.
You mean, have they been filled in to date?
No, what's the possibility of them being filled in the future?
Oh, in the future, yeah. So, one of the things that we've got hundreds of thousands of Sumerian and Akkadian cuneiform tablets. And the interesting thing about it is scholars thought, we've only been doing this, 150 years? Scholars thought, well, as we continue to dig up these tells, and they're everywhere, right? As we continue to dig up the sites, we've dug only such a small amount that when we continue to find these tablets, and there are lots of them because they've been preserved, we're going to find all these new stories, all these new compositions, when in reality, what happens is you just find more and more copies of basically the same stories, which is very encouraging. as far as this, filling in the gaps sort of thing. So, yeah, that's a great question. And hopefully what will happen is as Iraq, hopefully in the future, becomes more accessible, and we can go back and we can excavate, and archaeologists can find, just as a sort of a general introduction to this, when archaeologists initially began to excavate over in the Near East, what they did is they focused on the centers, the high points of these mounds, of these tells. And the reason is there was more monumental architecture up there because it's probably where the palace was, probably where the temple was going to be. And so they could find all of these things that would really bring in the bucks, right? So England and France, that's where they would go. That's what they would do. So they'd want to fill their museums up with all these great treasures that people would come to see. Often they wouldn't dig in very, what I would call, not critical, but I guess it would be critical, but in a very scientific fashion, a very careful fashion. They would just they're going into the ground. Now it's, much more difficult. They have to be much more precise. When they excavate, I excavated in Syria, and it's a much slower process, but we find out exactly where every tablet is found, roughly, exactly where these tablets are found, in what room, and what side of which wall, that sort of thing. So let's go in some more with that. So basically what that means is that a lot of these residential areas, are really just large patches, large pieces of these sites have not been excavated. And so the idea is that hopefully, when we can get back into Iraq and we can excavate, particularly those sites that haven't been destroyed, we'll find more stories. We can fill in more gaps. So good question. Good question. Flood and bring mayhem to the mountain meadows. Kill wicked Anzu. Let kingship re-enter Acor. Acor is Enlil's temple. Let authority return to the Father who begot you. Let there be daises to be built. Establish your holy places in the 4 world regions. Let your shine come into Acor. Show yourself mighty before the gods, for your name shall be Mighty One. The warrior heeded his mother's word. Seething with fury, he made his way toward his mountain. My lord hitched up the 7 battles. The warrior hitched up the 7 ill winds. The 7 whirlwinds that make the dust swirl. He launched a terrifying assault, made war. The winds were ready at his side for battle. Anzu and Ninurta met on the mountainside. You want to pick it up, or you want me to?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
You're going to have to tell me where we got to.
We are at tablet 2, line 37. He ground his teeth.
Yes. He ground his teeth like a cyclone. He enveloped the mountain with his horrible glow. He was roaring like a lion, seized with passion. In his rage, he cried to the warrior, I have carried off all possible authority, so I control the responsibilities all the gods must do. Who are you who have come to fight with me? Account for yourself. He advanced upon him, saying to him, the warrior Ninurta answered Anzu, I am Ninurta, the son of divine Doranki, upholder of the vast netherworld, of Ea, king of destinies. I am come to fight with you, you crusher. When Anzu heard what he said, he let loose a piercing shriek within the mountain. It grew dark. The face of the mountain was enveloped. The sun, light of the gods, became dark. Ardad roared great thunderclaps. The sign of Anzu was his clamor. In the midst of the melee, the conflict, battle was joined, the deluge onset. Battle array was on the move, bathed in blood. Clouds of death rained down. Arrows flashed as lightning. Battle ran on, thundering between them. The mighty one, the splendid firstborn of Mami, hope of Anu and Dagon, beloved of the leader, mounted the bow with the shaft. From the handhold of the bow he sent against him an arrow. The shaft did not approach Anzu, but return. Anzu cried out against it, Shaft that has come, go back to your thicket. Frame of the bow to your forests, bowstring to the sheep's sinews, feather to the birds, go back. Because he held the Tablet of Destinies of the gods in his hand, the bowstring brought forth arrows, but they did not approach his body. Battle died down, attack was held back, the fighting stopped within the mountain. They did not conquer Anzu. So what's happening here is because Anzu has the Tablet of Destinies, he can, like I said, control reality. So even though Ninurta is firing arrows against him, Anzu is saying, feathers of the feathers that are fletch the arrows go back to the birds, arrow shaft go back to the forests. So he's kind of ripping apart the arrow in midair and sending the component parts back to where they came from. So these arrows are firing at him and they're disintegrating essentially before they hit him, which is a problem for Ninurta, really.
Indeed.
He summoned Sha'ur.
Yeah.
Thank you. He summoned Sha'ur and commissioned him. Tell Ea the leader what you saw happen. Say this. Isn't Sha'ur normally a weapon?
Yeah, it's a mace. That's what it is here.
Ah, cool. So Ninurta here is talking to his mace.
It's really cool.
As one does. And commissioned him. Tell Ea the leader what you saw happen.
That was really awesome that you just remembered that. Not knowing
I'm
it from the
that
start.
good.
Yeah, no doubt.
Say this. Lord, Ninurta has surrounded Anzu. Ninurta was enveloped with the dust of battle. He readied the bow, mounted the shaft. He readied the bow, shot the shaft toward him. It did not approach Anzu, but returned. Anzu cried out against it. Shaft that has come, go back to your thicket. Frame of the bow to your forests. Bowstring of to the sheep's sinews. Feather to the birds. Go back. Because he was holding the Tablet of Destinies of the gods in his hand, the bowstring brought forth arrows, but they did not approach his body. Battle died down. Attack was held back. The fighting stopped. Within the mountain, they did not conquer Anzu.
Sha'ur did obeisance, received the command. I was really hoping we'd have the word ague, which we now know as augur, which I think is less cool than the burning ague. Okay, sorry. I guess you had to be at the beginning to get that one. Bore the battle message to Ea the leader. He repeated to Ea all the Lord told him. O Lord, he says this. Ninurta has surrounded Anzu. Ninurta was enveloped with the dust of battle. He readied the bow, shot the shaft toward him. The shaft did not approach Anzu, but returned. Anzu cried out against it. Shaft that has come, go back to your thicket. Frame of the bow to your forests. Bowstring to the sheep's sinews. Feathers to the birds, go back. Because he was holding the Tablet of Destinies of the gods in his hand, the bowstring brought forth arrows, but they did not approach his body. Battle died down, attack was held, the fighting stopped. Within the mountain they did not conquer Anzu. Then the leader heard the words of his son. He called Sha'ur and commissioned him. Heed for your Lord what I say. What I shall tell you, heed for him. Do not tire in battle. Strive for victory.
Sorry, that's just great advice to anyone. Don't get tired. Just keep going.
It's like asking John Madden, how do you think they're going to win this game? Well, they're going to have to play good football.
Sorry.
There's no laugh track, so I can't tell if that was funny.
I think it was funny.
All right.
Pond thinks it was funny.
Thank you, Pond. Take, O Lord, your darts toward the bottom. Oh, sorry. I skipped a line. Do not tire in battle. Strive for victory. Tire him out. Then he let his wings fall to the brunt of the storm. Take, O Lord, your darts toward the bottom. Cut off his pinions and hurl them right and left. Once he sees his feathers, they will take away his magic words. My wings, to the wings he will cry. Fear him not. Ready your bow, let the lightning shafts fly from it. Let pinions and wing feathers dance about like butterflies. Kill him, conquer Anzu. So I won't spoil it if you don't get it from the context, because it is tough. But he's telling him to cut his feathers, right? Cut parts of his wings. And in doing so, Anzu will see them and say, my feathers. If that doesn't give it to you, you'll get it soon. Let the winds bear off his wing feathers as glad tidings. To the temple Achor, to your father Enlil. Flood and bring mayhem to the mountain meadows. Kill wicked Anzu. Let kingship re-enter Achor. Let authority return to the father who begot you. Let there be daises to be built. Establish your holy places in the 4 world regions. Let your holy places come into Achor. Show yourself mighty before the gods, for your name shall be Mighty One. You want to go?
That's a pretty good deal. Sharor did obeisance and received the command, bore off the battle message to his lord. Everything Ea told him he repeated to him. Do not tire in battle, strive for victory. Tie him out that he let his wings fall to the brunt of the storm. Take, O Lord, your darts toward the bottom. Cut off his pinions and hurl them right and left. Once he sees his feathers, they will take away his magic words. My wings to the wings, he will cry. Fear him not. Ready your bow, let the lightning shafts fly from it. Let pinions and wings dance about like butterflies. Kill him, conquer Anzu. Let the winds bear off his wing feathers as glad tidings. To the temple Achor, to your father Enlil. Flood and bring mayhem to the mountain meadows. Kill wicked Anzu. Let kingship re-enter Achor. Let authority return to the father who begot you. Let there be daises to be built. Establish your holy places in the 4 world regions. Let your holy places come into Achor. Show yourself mighty before the gods, for your name shall be Mighty One. The Lord heeded the words of Ea the leader. Seething with fury, he made his way towards his mountain. The Lord hitched up the 7 battles. The warrior hitched up the 7 ill winds. The 7 whirlwinds that make the dust swirl. He launched a terrifying assault, made war. The winds were already at his side for his battle. And I know Josh has mentioned it before, but this is another one of the similarities, one of the borrowings you see in the Enuma Elish. Here, Ninurta is the god who has control of these 7 powerful winds. In Enuma Elish, that power is given to Marduk. And he's the one who controls the winds and roils up Tiamat and then eventually defeats her.
Maybe the thing to do is read Enuma Elish after this. I mean, I know you're doing it. No, you know what? That's what we're going to do. We're going to... I have these ideas, and then you look at me like I have 3 heads.
I'm just waiting to hear the end of it.
Trust me, it's good. It sounds good in my head. Megan is reading through in her Soothing Stories with Megan, the Enuma Elish.
I'm not sure how soothing they actually are.
Well, I mean, but you have that sultry voice, so, and we have that smooth music up front.
That's true.
Anyway. Yeah, somebody said that you should do, what was it again?
ASMR.
ASMR, yeah, so that's why that's why we went to this. Anyway. So if you want to see the comparisons, listen to her YouTube video. She's going to record part 2, Tablet 2 tomorrow. So anyway, you'll hear the differences. It's pretty cool. We'll eventually read it here, but
we will. It's a long one, though. It's not something we can really do in an evening. Tablet 3. Armor, constantly striking one another. The blazing of the fiery glare. To the 4 winds, the storm. The weapons he struck and struck in horrible protection. Both were bathed in the sweat of battle. Then Anzu grew tired. At the onslaught of the storm, he dropped his wings. The Lord took his darts toward the bottom. He cut off his pinions, hurled them right and left. When Anzu saw his wings, they took away his magic words. When he cried, "My wings to the wings," the arrow flew against him. The shaft passed through of his heart. He made his dart pass through pinion and wing. The shaft pierced through his heart and lungs. He flooded, brought mayhem to the mountain meadows. He flooded the vast earth in his fury. He flooded the midst of the mountains. He killed wicked Anzu.
So if you notice here, you want to say it?
I don't know what you're going to say.
Okay. Sorry, that's true. So when he cuts off the wings, the pinions, the feathers, Anzu essentially calls the feathers back to himself. And since he's got the Tablet of Destinies, he can do that. Like, hey, feathers, come on back. At that moment, he shoots the arrow. And since the arrow has feathers on it, it brings that arrow to him as well. And so it kills him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. It's very tricky. The warrior Ninurta took control of the Tablet of the God's Destinies. The wind bore Anzu's wing feathers as a sign of his glad tidings. Dagon rejoiced when he saw his sign. He summoned all the gods, saying to them in joy, "The mighty one has outroared Anzu in his mountain. He has regained control of Anu and Dagon's weapons. Go to him, that he come to us. Let him rejoice, let him dance, let him celebrate. Let him stand with the gods, his brethren, that he may hear the secret law of the gods. Let grant him responsibilities with the gods, his brethren." Ea made ready to speak, saying to Dagon these words. He took the skin. When he killed wicked Anzu in the mountains, the warrior Ninurta regained control of the Tablet of the God's Destinies. Send to him, let him come to you, let him place the Tablet of Destinies in your lap. Enlil made ready to speak, saying to Nusku, his courier, these words. Nusku, go outside, bring Burdu before me. It's a wonderful name.
Burdu.
He brought Burdu into Enlil's presence. Enlil made ready to speak, saying to Burdu these words, Burdu, I am sending you. And there's a gap. Ninurta made ready to speak, saying these words to Burdu. O Burdu, why did you come at such a furious pace to... Burdu made ready to speak, saying these words to Ninurta his lord. My lord, to you, your father Enlil sent me, saying, the gods heard that you killed wicked Anzu in the mountain. They were joyful and glad, but before him. Go to him, let him rejoice. Ninurta made ready to speak, saying to Burdu, why surrender the trappings of kingship? My utterance has become like that of the king of the gods. I will not return the Tablet of Destinies. So, oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Enlil has sent a messenger, Burdu, aptly named, to Ninurta, saying, we're so happy, you killed Anzu, yay! Now, come home, give us back the Tablet of Destinies, because remember, this was Enlil's to begin with. This is his special thing that makes him super great and powerful. Bring it back and then everything will be fine again. And Ninurta is like, well, I could do that. Instead, how about I keep it? It's a better idea. I keep it, and then I can be the king of the gods. How about that one then?
And this is another thing that's developed in Enuma Elish. So there's a significant break here, and it's difficult to know actually if Ninurta eventually does bring back the Tablet of Destinies. If he does or he doesn't, though, is sort of irrelevant. Marduk, in this story, first of all, Marduk doesn't lose the first round when he goes and fights Tiamat. In fact, he fights Tiamat and Kingu. Kingu's the one that actually holds the Tablet of Destinies. And Kingu is basically taken out of the battle just by Marduk approaching, and he's the one that holds the tablet. So he's just completely taken out of the battle just by the approach. So the Tablet of Destinies does nothing for him. And then Marduk fights Tiamat, takes the Tablet of Destinies back, and gives it back, right? So this is, I think, another development of the text, making Marduk an even greater Ninurta.
Yep. Because he's nice. He gives it back. We have a new subscriber.
Uh-oh. It is...
Not showing through on the app yet.
Sorry.
Yay.
But it will.
It will, eventually.
Okay. Well, when it does, I will.
Your name will be read out. Thank you, new subscriber. This is Thomas, by the way. You can see a tiny little cat face.
It is Outis.
Outis. Thank you.
Oh, and
You have another one?
did Riley
Riley
Pinnell? And I don't know why that one didn't show up. And there was one at 8:46.
We're
Boy, I am terrible. These just didn't come
neglecting
through.
I'm sorry.
Sue's MXR157. And yep.
Thank you all. Lovely
Thank
to
you.
have you here.
Yeah, it really is fantastic.
Thomas appreciates it too.
Yeah, that's why he's here.
Yep. Nope.
All right.
He's going.
So we're coming close to the end here.
Goodbye, Thomas.
After a break, Ninurta is speaking, or God is speaking to Ninurta. Let not be built Anzu and Achor, the sign of the warrior. Let him look upon wicked Anzu in the greatness of his might. O warrior, you could slay mountains in your might. You defeated Anzu. You could slay his might. You could slay the might of soaring Anzu. Because you were valiant and killed mountains, you have made all enemies submit before your father Enlil. O Ninurta, because you were valiant and slew mountains, you have made all enemies submit before your father Enlil. You have gained lordship, each and every divine authority. For whom besides you is the divine authority of the mountain? Greatness has been given you at the daises of the gods of destinies. They called your lustrations Nisaba. They called your name in the furrow Ningirsu. By the way, what's happening here is also paralleled in the Enuma Elish. So we're at the end of the text, and there are these names that are given, these different names that are given to Ninurta, the champion god of the text. This happens at the Enuma Elish. There are 50 names of Marduk that are given to him when he wins. So you can just pointing out the parallels. There's one parallel that I'll give you a teaser on, and it'd be interesting to see if you guys can go track it down. There's this phrase that's shown up several times: "Let his feathers be borne off by the wind to bring glad tidings." That happens in the Enuma Elish, but it's not feathers.
Tiamat doesn't have feathers.
It's something interesting that
It's your mama.
You're the greatest woman ever.
I have problems.
No, you don't. Okay. As king, they gave you your name, guardian of the throne. In Elam, they gave you the name Horabtil. In Susa, they speak of you as in Shushinak. In Ibianu, they gave you the name Master of Secret Lore.
That's the name I'd want.
Oh, yeah. I'm the Master of Secret Lore.
Yeah.
Among the gods, your brethren, your father, they call you your name Pabilsang in Egalmach. They called your name in Or. You, Doranki. In Dare, they speak of you as Ishtaran. In Zababa, they call as his name. Your valor, Enlil over all the gods. To make surpassing your divinity, I praise you. In they gave you your name Lugalbanda, your name Lugalmarade. They gave you an A Nish Kalama, an A Sikila. They gave you your name Warrior Tishpak. So the gods of these places, they're saying the gods that are called by the name Tishpak or by the name Lugalbanda or any of these other names, that's actually you, right? So it's this overt syncretism. Yep.
We like syncretism.
You know, that's right.
Oh, yeah.
In Kulaba, they called you by your name Pisangunuk, Bailit Ili, your mother, Lord of the Boundary, Panigara. They called you Papsukal, the Vanguard. This is really broken. O Lord, your names are surpassing, great among the gods, Lord of understanding, capable and dreaded one, Ea the leader, your father, battle and conflict, he, you, of their lands, and then it's broken. And that's the end. So you can see we don't know, for certain if he ends up giving back the Tablet of Destinies. There's some evidence that he does. There's some evidence that he might not have. But again, it's not completely relevant in that Marduk gives it back, essentially instantly. So that is the Anzu Myth.
Hooray, Anzu Myth.
So I don't know what you want to do. We've been going about an hour and 10 minutes. We have 24 people watching. You guys want us to read another one?
That's pretty cool.
We could do a little bit of Ask Me Anything.
Ninurta and the turtle.
Ninurta and
do
the
we
turtle.
have Ninurta and the turtle? Is that even long enough to or complete enough? I just like that there's a text called Ninurta and the Turtle. I mean, I've been looking for it. I can't find it in Foster.
I think it's a Sumerian text.
It's a Sumerian text, Megan. That's why it wouldn't be here.
Let me.
I'm just going to say goodnight, Paige. Oh, you.
Why don't you have her? You want to have her come in and say goodnight?
She goes, well, I'll ask her.
Okay. I will look here
Do you want to come in and say goodnight?
for Ninurta and the Turtle, and there it is. It's a Sumerian text. We can read a Sumerian text because my lovely wife wants to. That is reason enough for me. What questions do you guys have? Who we got watching here? 24 people, man. You guys are awesome.
Night, Dad.
Good night, sweetheart. I love you.
Night, viewers.
Xanos Carthage wants us to read another one. All right. Beej says she was rooting for Anzu. Sorry, Beej. I mean, I know he's a good guy in the beginning, but I guess it's akin to playing that. Oh God, what's that game that everybody's playing? The war game where you can be the Americans or you can be the Germans. The Americans and the British or the Germans. So Medal of Honor. Thank you. Or Call of Duty. Call of Duty. Or maybe that's the same thing. I'm not really sure. Anyway, such an old, terrible person. All right, Math Magic Pagan 1 says, the rough and ready is one of the reasons love the book club. Yep, rough and ready. That's what we are. Well, we're rough. I don't know that we're ready at times. But I'll tell you what, I'm going to start reading Norta and the Turtle. So this, again, is a Sumerian text. If you want to follow along, you can go to ETCSL, which is the Electronic Text Corpus of Sumerian Literature.
I'll put a link up in the thing.
She's going to put a link up in the thing.
Oh, someone asked where our flag went, and I said that we'd been told that we looked unprofessional, so it may have been taken down for professionalism.
Yeah, I mean, right. That's a good question.
To keep the background.
It's right there.
Oh, it is right there.
Yeah.
It's literally right in front of me. So when I said, I don't know where it's gone, I've been staring at it for the past hour and 10 minutes.
Yeah. Okay, so one of the things that I don't want to, so I want us to say very, very clearly that we are pro-LGBTQ community. We do things in our church. We go to an Episcopal church and we work to help out the LGBTQ community, and I think everybody should. And I'm very, very happy to have it up in the background. For those of you that don't know, it was right there. Boy, this is really difficult to do. How do weather people do it? We're going to have a storm front coming in. I don't know how y'all do it. Y'all, like, you guys are weather people. Anyway, but we were told that it might make a statement that might make people focus on that more than what we're trying to do here, which I actually think is a good point. So I think just to be safe, look, I mean, again, I want it to be absolutely clear. We are pro the LGBTQ community.
Well, it's less being pro, more the fact that I'm bi. I'm in the LGBTQ community.
Yeah, so that's why it's gone. Good question. Okay, Ninurta and the Turtle, fun story. And since we just read one about Ninurta, let's read Ninurta and the Turtle. At his command, your weapon struck me evilly. As I let the divine powers go out of my hand, these divine powers returned to the Abzu. As I let the divine plan go out of my hand, this divine plan returned to the Abzu. The Tablet of Destinies returned to the Abzu. I was stripped at the divine powers. Ninurta was stunned at these words of the Anzu chick. I mean, again, you notice that there's the interplay of these things is, here Ninurta's talking to the Anzu chick, and they're talking about the Tablet of Destinies. Anyway, okay. Ninmea gave out a wail. And what about me? These divine powers have not fallen into my hand. I shall not exercise their authority. I shall not live like him in the shrine in the Abzu. Father Enki and the Abzu knew what had been said. The Anzu chick took the hero Ninurta by his hand and drew near with him to Enki's place, the Abzu. Excuse me. The Anzu chick returned to Utaulu in the Abzu. The Abzu, by the way, is Enki's dwelling. It's like the subterranean waters. The Lord was delighted with the hero. Father Enki was delighted with the hero Ninurta. Lord Nudimud honored him duly. Nudimud is Enki. Hero, no god among your brother gods could have acted so. As for the bird which your mighty weapon captured, from now to eternity you will keep your foot placed on its neck. May the great gods give you heroic strength its due. May your father Enlil do whatsoever you command. May Ninmea not fashion your equal. May no one be as revered as you, and no god extend an upraised hand before you. Monthly may your house regularly receive tributes in the shrine in the Abzu. May An proclaim your name in the seat of honor. The hero secretly was not happy with these promises. Where he stood, he darkened and yellowed like a floodstorm. He contemplated great deeds, and inwardly he was rebellious. He uttered a word which has no... The hero Ninurta set his sights on the whole world. He told no one, and inwardly did not... So you can see the... you can see the interplay of the text, right? So now Ninurta, being dissatisfied with what he's been assigned or given, is now secretly rebelling, like the Anzu bird did, right? The great Lord Enki intuitively grasped the substance of the plan. This is what Enki does, right? He just knows what's going on.
Smart.
He doesn't always act in a way that you would expect, right? Like when Inanna is coming from a distance to take the maze from him.
He watches her and says, I know why she's coming.
I know
and
why
then
she's
just
coming.
Lets her get him drunk and steal his stuff anyway.
Yeah. In the shrine, in the Abzu, he stirred up a dark floodstorm. By the house, the minister Isimud opposed Ninurta. Isimud is Enki's servant. The hero Ninurta refused to come out and raised his hand against the minister Isimud. Against Ninurta, Enki fashioned a turtle from the clay of the Abzu.
Now that is my go-to defensive animal. Not a lion, not some giant eagle or even a dragon, a turtle. And the surprising thing is that it works.
Well, it's because if you think about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
That must be what's happening.
That's where they're getting this from.
Mm-hmm.
Sumerian. See, Sumerian is the birthplace of every idea. Okay.
That's going to be taken out of context and come and bite you in the ass.
I know, right? Sorry. I apologize, everyone.
Jen loves your shirt, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Yes. I wish that I could say it was, from the 90s, but it's actually got a date on it, 2017. Got it at Target. Not big, but I like Nirvana. So I just discovered the Beatles last week, which sounds a little strange because it is. I was raised an evangelical Christian, very conservative, so the Beatles were anathema.
I didn't realize the Beatles were that controversial until I met Josh. Apparently they are.
Now you know. And knowing is half the battle.
G.I. Joe.
Up top. Yeah, that's right.
Moving onwards.
To the turtle. Turtle power. Okay. Against him, he stationed the turtle at an opening at the gate of the Abzu. I guess I'm picturing like Bulbasaur. See a turtle?
Maybe.
Thing?
Turtle thing.
Bulbasaur. Enki talked to him near the place of the ambush and brought... It's just funny to see the turtle's going to ambush him. What's that movie? I'm so sorry. What's that movie? Hoodwinked, where the tree falls next to him, and the turtles go, "Run!" Okay, sorry. Wow.
Godless Iron wants to know if Sumerian culture is also the birthplace of the Power Rangers. Probably.
Let's see. Mastodon, pterodactyl, triceratops, saber-toothed tiger, and tyrannosaurus. I mean, unless
Looking
creationists
likely.
are right and dinosaurs and man live together, I'm going to say no. But who knows?
Bede says that you made her feel old because of only just discovering the Beatles. That's less to do with his age and more to do with, as a child, he was not allowed to listen to the Beatles.
Sorry, yeah, like discovered in the sense of a moron.
Exactly.
Is that fair?
No.
Oh.
He was listening to the radio, and he listened to like 3 songs and was like, "This is a great radio station," and it was like Beatles FM or something.
Yeah, it's more like I of course I knew who the Beatles were, right? But it was anytime that I hear something and they say, "Oh, this is the Beatles," just if I could, just didn't want to listen to it because there was, maybe it makes Baby Jesus cry. So
yes, many things make Baby Jesus cry. Also, sorry. Magic Math Pagan wants to know, would you ever consider doing a Neil Gaiman style book? Do you know who Neil Gaiman is?
I know, not my liege.
Excellent.
Consult the Book of Armaments.
Book of Armaments.
Armaments, chapter 2, verses 9 through 21. Maybe we'll do that as part of the
do our own reenactments.
And Saint Attila raised the holy hand grenade on high, saying, okay.
Yes, we would, because Neil Gaiman is amazing. I'd need to get Josh to read Neil Gaiman first. I think you'd enjoy it.
He's probably part of the LGBTQ community. Because of
the name. I'm very slow. I'm very slow.
So lame. I'm so lame. So who is Neil Gaiman?
He's an author. He's pretty awesome.
Those are 2 things that I did not know before I asked the question. An author?
He's awesome. He writes a lot of stuff drawing on old mythology.
Oh, okay.
He's got a series using, well, not a series. He's got a book using
American
mythology.
So look, if people look at me and they assume certain things about me and my cognitive abilities, which I'm okay with, I guess. But if we drive past a pond, right, and there's this like a red algae on the top of a part of it, and it's very out of the ordinary, and I point over toward the pond and say, "Hey, what is that?" The response that I could get could be, "Well, Josh, that's a special type of algae that only grows during the summer." Or what I always get, "Josh, that's a pond." Yes. Thank you.
I don't think he's stupid. Honestly, I don't.
Honestly?
I don't think you're stupid. I think you're very clever. And
you're all right, baby.
Godless Iron says, have you ever heard of this amazing thing called the television? You might have known it as the Satan tube. No, you were allowed to watch television as long as it was Wonder Book. No, that's the book.
Superbook. Anybody remember Superbook?
The Bible in a cartoon.
Anime, I think.
Anime Bible, nice.
Yeah. No, I mean, it wasn't around like The Simpsons. That's no good.
I watched The Simpsons. I grew up in a very satanic household.
NSH.
Anyway,
VSH.
let's finish this text and then we can bore people some more with our bizarre.
All right, so we've got the turtle sitting in ambush. The turtle was able to grab Ninurta's tendon from behind. The hero Ninurta, he can beat the Anzu bird.
Can't beat it.
But he's taken, this is, you know what this is? This is Ninurta's heel.
Ah, nice.
Okay.
Very nice.
The hero Ninurta managed to turn back its feet. Enki, as if perplexed, said, "What is this?" He had the turtle scrape the ground with its claws, had it dig an evil pit.
I love that there's a pit with a moral compass.
Yeah, I mean, I think probably we should look back.
See what the actual word is there.
Yeah, I mean, look, this was translated by very scholarly people that are far more intelligent than I am. But that doesn't mean we can't revisit the word evil.
Well, we can finish the text and then check out what the word actually is there.
The hero Ninurta fell into it with the turtle. So here's the picture, right? The turtle bites his heel or his tendon, Then Ninurta starts to get away, and so Enki has the turtle dig a hole. I don't know how long it takes a turtle to dig a hole, right? I suspect the people that wrote this knew how long that took, and it was fast enough that both of them fell in. Yeah, it's good. It's good. This was probably written like a joke. The scribes, I see if they'll think this is funny. Okay. Okay, the hero did not know how to get out from the pit. The turtle kept on gnawing his feet with its claws. Claws does have a question mark next to it, so
we're not entirely sure.
The great Lord Enki said to him, "From you who set your mind to kill me, who makes big claims, I cut down, I raise up. You who set your sights on me like this, what is your position seized for you? How? Where has your strength fled? Where is your heroism? In the great mountains you caused destruction. But how will you get out now?" Ninmea learned of this situation. She ripped the clothes on her body and she, "You, my plant-eater Enki, who shall I send to you? Men will shake their heads in fear. Who shall I send to you? That name is not Enki. That name is Ugugu that does not pour. You who are death, which has no mercy, who shall I send to you?" And then the text is broken, as many Sumerian texts are. So that's what we've got.
We've gone from seeing Ninurta defeat the all-powerful Anzu bird who has control of the Tablet of Destinies and can basically change reality with his words, to being defeated by a turtle that dug a really big evil pit.
But I mean, that was
fast.
That was a great text to read right after that, because and I'm sure you intended that, which is awesome.
Did. We were going to look up evil.
Oh, right. Great job. Let's keep looking. That's what Piper would say.
Let us see. Yes, VeggieTales has great songs. It's odd for me, with my background, to see a children's cartoon with such overtly Christian themes. But the songs are fantastic. My personal favorite is the Belly Button song. If you haven't watched it, I recommend once we're done, go and find it, because it's basically take that in vegetable form, singing about their lack of belly buttons because they're vegetables.
Belly button, no. Oh, no, no. No belly button.
Exhibit A, everybody. So
sorry, I'm trying to.
I'm seeing if there are questions we need to answer here. Not really. Rachel Easton says, "That's nothing. Ever seen Bible Man?" I haven't seen Bible Man. Have you seen Bible Man?
No.
No.
It's Hul.
Hul.
It
is an evil pit. That's amazing. So the word is the word Hul that's used to describe the pit does actually mean evil.
Now I want to know. Sorry, fantastic. I won't do this here on the air, but it makes me want to do some lexicography. And look up all
I wonder if there can be a good pit. A pit of Anu. A divine pit. There probably is. I'm sure there's something in like foundation inscriptions about digging a divine pit in which to lay temple foundations.
This is your field. So.
Well, it is temple inscriptions aren't normally that detailed.
That's true. We have 29 people watching right now.
Do.
You guys are incredible.
Actually, lots of people are recommending Bible Man to us.
Really?
So we might later have to go and look at Bible Man.
All right. Is it like Superman? Is that? Sorry, that's probably going to take 10 seconds to come through, but yeah, I mean, I remember Superbook, and it's essentially all I watched. So that's 2 stories. I think we've done an hour and a half now. Look, I'm good with going for another half hour, but I mean it's really up to you guys. I mean we have 31 people watching now. If you like this, by the way, which I hope that you do, please like. It really helps.
It does.
If you haven't subscribed, let me just do that. Yeah. I'm gonna drop my phone just to make sure I can still do that.
Bible Man is a Bible-based superhero.
Oh, all right.
Well, that sounds exciting.
So it's like Samson.
Yeah. We did. Oh, Magic Math Pagan is saying he wants more. Why don't you pick a text?
Okay.
And we actually, I'm going to tell everybody, we introduced our children to the original Superman movies this weekend.
Yes.
Which caused a surprising amount of distress for the 5-year-old, who was very upset about baby Superman losing his parents. I did not think that one through.
Yeah.
I honestly didn't think she was paying enough attention to realize what was happening. But she was quite inconsolable and had to have cuddles from everybody. But then it was okay again because he had new parents. And then, of course, his new dad dies within like 10 minutes of losing his first dad. So then I had to tell her that actually the new dad wasn't dead. He was just very sick. So he'd gone to the hospital. So
we lied to our kids.
We totally lied. Well, when she's that distraught about a fictional character losing their parents, you bet I'm going to lie to her about it.
Quite right.
Yep, quite right. Jolly good show. So we did that this weekend, which was very exciting. What else? I made a cake.
Yeah.
With Piper, the 5-year-old, because she is a great fan of the Fancy Nancy books. If anyone has small children, I'd recommend the Fancy Nancy books because it's great for vocabulary. And she has a book called Jojo and Daddy Bake a Cake, which is one of her new favorites. And she decided this morning when she woke up to reenact this book. So we had to bake a cake and Daddy had to help. And then, of course, we had to try and make a replica of the cake in the book, which involves strawberries and sprinkles. And I didn't have strawberries, and bunting, and I didn't have bunting. So instead, we made a chocolate cake with chocolate frosting and some sprinkles. And then she wanted to put toys on it. I'm not sure where that came from, except that she's 5 and toys improve everything. So instead, she's got little Minnie Mouse Lego figurines that we kind of stuck in the top of the cake. And then they fell over.
Pretty quickly.
It was fun, though. It was lots of fun. Oh, no, Bede, she hasn't watched Bambi. I'm not sure I'm ready for that kind of emotional.
I don't think I want to watch Bambi. No. Of course, I was sitting there crying with Superman, but this is old Christopher Reeve one, right? So this is, I wanted them to watch it because I feel like, I wanted Paige to watch it. That was the big thing. But Piper has watched that, the scene where the helicopter is up on the top of the building and Lois Lane falls and Superman saves them or saves her and then saves the people below by catching the helicopter. She wants to watch it every time I get in the vehicle. So I thought, maybe that'd be a good thing to watch. Anyway, I think that we should read Sargon, Lord of Lies.
Ooh, what page is that?
This is page 72. This comes from that old Assyrian period that Megan loves so much. This is early 2nd millennium, and it's...
Are you sure 72? It is 72. Maybe I have a different... Nope.
Oh, there it is.
I can't find the actual... Oh, okay. I couldn't find it because it's a page and a... Well, it's like a page. And
if I was to put them there in my pocket, say, give me vertical concealing of deadly weapons. Does nobody know Diamond Dave? And Diamond Dave's Ninja School. Come on down. Okay. I don't know where that came from. The deep recesses of my strange brain. Sargon, Lord of Lies. This comes from Old Assyrian period, where there was a trade colony in Anatolia, and from the city of Ashur and that area, merchants would travel with tin and textiles out to Anatolia and trade them there in the merchant city of Kanesh, and for silver and
lots of silver in Turkey.
And we have lots of tablets from this area, over 10,000, I think, if I remember correctly. So. We have a video about this, a daily data called something.
I think it's Old Assyrian Marriage.
Yes, Old Assyrian Marriage. That's what it is. But it describes this in a little bit of detail. So, but this text is the singular literary text that we have preserved. Remember, these are people. This is a merchant group that's writing these texts. They have memorized the basic set of signs
instead of the several hundred that a scribe would know.
Yeah, they maybe know 50 or 60. It might be as many as
I'm
80.
not even sure it's that many.
Yeah.
I did know them. I can't remember.
Yeah. But this is their literary text, so I think it's a good one to read.
Yep.
You want to read it?
Yes.
Cool.
Thus says Sargon, and Sargon would have been an historical figure for them. This is not contemporary with the king of the same name. And there are two Sargons. So there's a Sargon that comes quite early, and then there's a Sargon in the Near Assyrian period, which is way, way, way later. Is he Near Assyrian?
Who? Sargon?
Second.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. I'm not great with dates, so I always like to check that I've got it right.
You're great on dates.
Aww. Thus says King Sargon, king of Agaday, city of great streets and squares, the mighty king who speaks with the god, whose strength the storm god gave him. I captured territory from where the sun rises to where the sun sets. In a single day, I gave weaponry to 7 cities. I captured their princes and I destroyed their cities.
70 cities.
Oh, 70. I'm sorry.
Just I want to kind of the reason that I focused in on that is I talk so much about the Old Testament, right? And these narrative portions of the Old Testament where it talks about, even the New Testament, where it talks about things that happened in a genre that to us looks for all the world like it's historical, right? Moses goes and does stuff, and Jesus feeds 5,000 and all these things that look like, to a 21st century Western set of eyes, looks like historical writing. And what I want to point out is that we see things in the Old Testament text, for example, that just seems crazy, right? And how could they possibly do that? And yet we try to make sense of it, right? They march around a city 7 days and the walls fall down. How does that happen? And they try to make some sense out of it. When in reality, we ought to think, maybe this is a different genre than historical writing. Okay. We don't have a problem when we read Sargon, Lord of Lies. If we, like in evangelical reading, this wouldn't have, or a person that takes that, but a person that takes that type of interpretation as that hermeneutical approach to the text wouldn't have a problem reading this. Right? Because I captured territory from where the sun rises to where the sun sets. In a single day, I gave weaponry to 70 cities. I captured their princes and destroyed their cities in a single day. Right?
Probably didn't happen.
Yeah. Nobody would try to make sense out of this because they would say, well, it's a king writing to try to, bolster himself. In fact, the fact that it says, I swear it by Adad, the Lord of strength, and Ishtar, lady of battle. Like, I did that. I swear. It's like, that means you probably didn't do it, right? But we don't have that same critical approach when we come to the Bible very often. And I just think it's good to read these texts because I think it's very important to have that approach and to say, all right, this isn't historical writing that we're saying. This is why we call it a literary text, because it's doing something different than trying to write, these are the facts, ma'am. These are the facts.
And actually, when we're done, I might try and find. So this was not written or commissioned or whatever by Sargon. This is a much later literary composition. It's a parody of texts that are attributed to Sargon. So when we're finished, I might try and just find one of the texts that it parodies to give you a flavor of what it's doing. But this is literary. It's supposed to be humorous and really overblown and over the top.
I think the non sequitur show is here.
You do?
Top.
Oh, hi, Kyle.
Or Steve. Do we know which one?
It's normally Kyle.
Oh, it's normally Kyle.
I think it's normally Kyle. Are you Kyle or are you Steve? Interested minds want to know.
I don't know that I'm a mind.
Yes, you are.
Yeah. She says I
am. It's Kyle. Hooray.
We have 35 people watching. You guys are incredible. If you haven't liked the video, please do so. And if you haven't subscribed, tell your friends and also subscribe. That was a weird thing. I'm just going to be quiet.
I love you.
I love you.
Okay. I swear it by Adad, Lord of Strength, and Ishtar, Lady of Battle. I saw a gazelle. I cast a brick into a river. Then, while I was running, my monumental inscription was formed. So I set up a falsehood for all time.
Get it?
Sure. This is the problem with humorous texts from ancient societies. We don't get many of the jokes.
The deflowered girl did not become pregnant. The undeflowered girl became pregnant. Who or what is it?
Auxiliary forces.
I guess you had to be there for the sacking of Babylon. Sorry, that was a quote from...
I can't remember.
I can't remember either. The news guy.
The news guy.
Not to put too fine a point on it.
Then I ran after and seized the gazelle. I raised up the brick from the water. So what he's saying here is he chased after a gazelle. Well, he threw a brick in the water, ran after a gazelle, caught the gazelle, and then ran back and got the brick out of the water before it sank to the bottom. He's very, very fast.
Yeah, before it sank or
Also-
before it dissolved.
Also, his penis is very huge. You can tell by the way that he's so humble and restrained in his self-praise.
He probably drives a really big truck.
He probably drives a huge truck because that way you know what size penis he
clear.
has. I'm on a penis kick today.
It's got
This is very.
I mean, that's
very
good.
distressing.
I mean, I think that's a good thing. I'm going to stop talking.
Anyway, you're not the one talking about penises all the time. Verily, I slaughter 1,000 oxen, 6,000 sheep every day.
I mean, come on. 6,000 sheep? Nobody would. But you know what? If this were in Leviticus chapter 5, people would be trying to figure out how they did it. Anyway.
Become hostile to my 7,000 warriors who daily ate breast meat before me, my 3,000 runners who ate rump meat, my 1,000 cupbearers who ate the top cut of the lower leg as far as it was roasted. My 7,000 warriors ate breast meat. There was not enough breast meat for anyone behind. He slaughtered his ox, the something of his throne, and gave the breast meat to anyone behind. There's a lot of breast meat in this. My cook scorched the meat, so for his punishment he slaughtered another 100 oxen and 200 sheep and fed my servants too. I swear it by Adad and Ishtar.
So you know it's
I
true.
know it's true. For 7 years, a month, and 15 days, verily, I sat with my troops in darkness.
I mean, seriously, if this were in Judges chapter 7, there would be like some commentary that talks about how a guy sat there in darkness for 7 years with his troops. That's what would happen.
When I came out, verily, I made a package of carnelian and lapis. Verily, I made a distribution to the land. Indeed, I smote the Amanus mountains in two, and like a commemorative peg, I set up my statue between them. I made the prince of Tukrish wear animal hide. I made Hutura wear animals' heads. I covered the Cypriots' heads with cloth like women. As for the Amorites, I went through them all, cutting off their penises as well as their noses. See, it's not just me with the penis thing today. I wrapped... Oh,
Bless ye.
excuse me. I wrapped the heads of the men in Kilaru in strapping. Once again, I released of the men of Karnesh. I shaved the midline of the heads of the men in Hati.
I feel like the guys in Hati got off easy.
I made a point of the Gutian toggle pin of the Luchmians. I made the garments of Lalua and Hahu sumptuous. So did I touch with my hand 13 pillars of heaven.
Yeah, you did.
Why should I speak at length of what is on a tablet? May Anu himself not know how I am king, how I took the upper and lower lands. May Adad and king indeed make abundant my provisions of food. I'm going to find an actual inscription of Sargon now so you can see what they're parodying.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. All right, what questions do you have while we're sitting here? And Megan's looking that up. Any questions coming in?
Kyle's asking if anyone else is craving breast meat. I said, I know I am. And Godless Iron is saying to check Twitter. Out of context quote for the day. I'm on a penis kick today. Yep. Yep. Things we say.
So for those of you that haven't gone to Skylar's channel, I think it'd be a Skylar Fictions channel. It's a great thing to do. I know he put up an update today saying he hasn't posted in a little bit because he's got some family in there, Jehovah's Witnesses. But one of the things that he and I have been doing recently is reading through the Bible and doing commentary on it. So I think we're supposed to do one of those Monday or Tuesdays this week. So stay tuned for that. Also, Kyle and I, Kyle asked me if I could set up an interview. So it's sort of a long story, but I think I've talked about this on the show before. I know that I have, now that I say it.
You have.
There's a group called the Congregation of Lord Rael, who they believe that the Spirit of God descended on a man named Raymond Elwood
Because why wouldn't he?
on January 28th of 2011. And that since that time, so he is, for lack of a better term, Jesus revivified. More than that, it's more complicated than that. The reason that they stood out to me is because they also believe that Jesus was a reincarnation, and now Raymond Elwood, Rael, it was a reincarnation of the god Enlil, and that one of the other people in their congregation is a reincarnation of the god Enki, and there are other members of the Sumerian pantheon. And these are actual people, like flesh and blood people. There is a man out in London, I believe he's where he's at, called Angelus Domini, so the angel of our Lord, and he does a lot of interacting for the group. And so they're very nice people. And I've been interacting with them, asking questions. They've been very kind, actually, to respond to my questions. And the reason that I was interested, they approached me initially, one of the members of the congregation did, a very nice woman named Kelly Patrick.
Kelly was actually in the chat a while ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, Kelly, if you're still watching, good to see you. I posted a link in the I don't know what you call it on their site. Anyhow, I don't remember what I was saying. But someone has very graciously, so Kelly posted a link in one of the videos that we did, which took me to her or to their site, and I interacted with her for a little while. And again, she was very, very kind. Actually, I really like her. I like a lot of them, to tell you the truth, because they're very nice people. I obviously disagree with what they believe, but oops, we have a.
I'm trying to plug this in.
Here, let me see it. I've got a wire down there.
Sorry, we have my laptop is dying.
But anyway, someone has. I spoke to Kyle at the Non Sequitur show about the group, and he said, "Do you think that they'd be, somebody be willing to come on and just kind of share what they believe, not like in a debate style setting, because I don't know what we debate." But to just sort of present what it is because it is fascinating. If nothing else, it's fascinating because it's this amalgamation, this joining of Sumerian, Mesopotamian religion and Old Testament and New Testament, biblical, evangelical, Christian religion. And of course, I don't want to call them evangelical, but because I wouldn't. That's a pro LGBTQ community, which is fantastic. But anyhow, someone did say that they'd be willing to come on, and I told him, whatever you want to talk about, whatever you feel comfortable talking about, that's what we want to discuss. So that is scheduled for October 22nd at 8 p.m. on the Non Sequitur show. Hopefully, this silly ban of their site will be taken down because it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, if you're on Twitter, tweet the Studio Canal UK account and tell them that they're ridiculous and they need to remove their copyright strike against the Non-Sec show because there isn't a copyright infringement there.
Yeah, and if you don't know where that is, you can look at our Twitter thingy.
Yes.
And we did that. She did it. But I smiled while she did it, so...
I'm going to break in here because I've actually got a text up that I want to read. So this is So the one we just read, Sargon, Lord of Lies, is a later literary composition parodying royal inscriptions from King Sargon. And this is one of the inscriptions.
So to give an idea of the difference in time, it's probably a difference of about 400 years, 500 years, 4 to 5. Sargon's probably like 2350, 2350. And I hope I'm right about that. Dr.
Yeah.
Nona, if you're watching, I
You
apologize if I got that wrong. But 2350. And so maybe it's only 400 years, 300 to 400 years.
It's a long time.
Yeah. Anyway.
So this is one that was written on the behalf of King Sargon. The god Ilaba is his personal god. Sargon, king of the world, with 9 contingents from Agade, conquered the city of Uruk, was victorious in battle, captured 50 governors, and Sargon personally captured the king of Uruk. Further, on a second occasion, he did battle in Naguzam and was victorious. Further, on a third occasion, the two of them fought each other at Or, and he was victorious. Further, he was victorious over Umma in battle and conquered the city. Further, he was victorious over Lagash in battle and washed his weapons in the sea. And this is an inscription on a statue. So you can see there, it's brief. It's briefer than the...
You said briefs.
I did. I mean, I've been saying penis all evening, but it's briefs that gets you. That makes you amused. It's shorter than the Sargon Lord of Lies text, but you can kind of see where they're getting that over the top. I conquered all of these people. I did all of these great deeds. It's rooted in royal inscriptions as a genre.
I think it's interesting
This is what
that
people write about.
the thing that you point out is the length of it. Some of these inscriptions are phallic shaped as well. So I'm 9 years old. That's what we've learned just now. All right. I don't know. I think this has been great.
It's been a lot of fun.
Are there any final questions before we
should go to bed now.
before we close this thing down? How many people are watching? 31.
31.
And you guys are incredible. Please.
Godless Iowan wants to know, what is that thing under there? Which particular thing under where? I'm not... Do you want me to go under the desk again? Is this what we're getting at? Kyle was insinuating about my activities under the desk.
Ah.
Yes.
Well.
I want to know what Godless Iowan is asking. Underwear. No, I don't know. I did say underwear. Oh. He got me to say underwear.
Well, it doesn't mean anything to her, though, because she says pants.
I do. I say pants. Underwear is a distinctly American thing.
Not pants.
No.
I don't know. It's probably not a thing. Pants. A British accent is lame, unless I'm directly quoting something. And then it can be better.
Penis!
That brought Pond running. Where? I feel like our streams start really high. And they're just gonna...
I'm pretty sure the penis talk started quite early tonight.
That's true. That's true. So let me ask a question. In light of that.
Sorry, before I forget, yeah. Godless Iowan wants to know when we're writing a book. I told him you're writing Sumerian grammar, and at some point when we have time, we will write a history book. Mesopotamia. Can you eat it? The answer is no, actually. Although I was talking, so I've joined in on an archaeology D&D group, which is actually the most fun I've had in ages. And they were talking.
Which isn't a shot against me at all. The most fun I've had in ages. Just talking to these people I don't know. It's fantastic.
Not at all what I meant. Not at all what I meant. But we were talking afterwards about licking things. Because a little known fact, when you do archaeology, sometimes you are told to lick things that you find in the ground to see what they're made of, which sounds like really weird
advice. Those are the new people that you're hazing. You should lick that. See what it's made of.
I can't even remember where this was going. Yes, Mesopotamia, can you eat it? So you can't eat it, but sometimes in the name of archaeology, you do need to lick it.
I don't know that we should entitle our book, You Can Lick It. So
I feel like these evenings are much less about actual Sumerian and Akkadian literature and more about the fact that we're crazy people who
it's true.
Who are crazy sometimes.
That's true. I wanted to ask, are there people that you would like to see us talk to? Okay, so I'm thinking about the Non Sequitur show, for example, and people come on, and it sounds like they're
Mr. Snarky says that that name will sell.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I'm coming up with all
I have
kinds
never
of
licked an obelisk, I and Charioteer. I have not. Sorry.
Unless you put it in quotes.
Obelisk. And then no comment. Because real ladies don't kiss and tell. Or lick obelisks and tell. Oh, I love you guys. This is so much fun.
I don't think I've ever turned that shade of red. Except when
It's attractive.
Thank you.
Oh, that's a baby.
All right. Well, that might be a good keep. Oh, sorry. What I was going to ask before we stop, that is our youngin. I'll wait for you to come back in. I don't. I guess one of the things that we've tried not to do is to focus too much on the biblical texts, and not because I don't find them very, very interesting. Obviously, I do. But because we kind of want to keep this channel in our little niche area. That being said, I mean, so many of you obviously, and again, including me, really love discussions of biblical text. Okay. Think about it. You don't have to tell us now, but email us digitalhammurabi@gmail.com or message us on Twitter. If you have ideas about people that I really like watching debates, I do. And if there are types of people that you would like to see us debating on here, I don't know. I'm not like a great debater or anything, but like I'm not a master debater or anything. Yes. Oh my God. I'm 8 now, I guess. I don't know. If there are people that you would like, types of people that you'd like to see, or types of debates you'd like to see us do live, I'd be very happy to do those. And if there are people in the chat, that, hey, we disagree with you or something. I mean, I guess one of the things that we could do is, and I don't know how long the debate would go, probably not terribly long, but I've had people debate me about the biblical text being earlier than the Sumerian text, which,
nope.
I mean, it might just come down to us going, well,
no,
look, this one older, but yeah. Anyway, so be thinking about that. Okay.
Possible debate: flat earthers versus obelisk clickers. Yep. Iron Charioteer is asking, "Are you a cunning linguist, though?"
Yes.
There we go.
It's probably more of a question for her.
Yes. Godless Iowan. I think it would be an interesting idea to have someone come on to discuss their favorite Old Testament story, and you could go into what the text does and does not say.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
I'm down.
Hi, Shannon. Shannon just arrived.
Oh, hey, Shannon.
We're talking about penises.
Yeah.
And obelisks.
I should probably look up.
And licking them.
You know what? While you're talking about licking penises.
No, licking obelisks.
Obelisks. Hey, you know
Honestly.
what? You know what? The first time that I was, that Skylar and I did I think it was the first time we did I can't type and talk at the same time. One of those Bible studies. He talked about, hey guys, make sure you go down on your wife. So
it's an important lesson.
Agreed.
Rachel Easton says, are you versed in only Sumerian or in other languages? Rachel, we have both had training in Sumerian, Akkadian, and Hebrew. I can get by. Josh is much more technically capable than I am in all three of those. And he's done a lot more Hebrew than I have, like 17 years.
Yeah, I mean, I can run through it. So when I started seminary, so in seminary I did 6 years of Koine Greek. So I've read like most of the New Testament, all the difficult parts. I was actually trained by some very, very skilled Greek scholars. I did in seminary 5 years of Hebrew, and then I taught the 2-year Hebrew cycle. So Hebrew grammar 1 and 2, and then I taught intermediate Old Testament readings, and then Hebrew exegetical principles. That was our mandatory 2-year Hebrew cycle. So I taught that, and then I went to Hopkins and majored in Assyriology and minored in Hebrew Bible. So, right, my one of my last years at seminary, I took a semester of Akkadian, and then I took 2 semesters of Aramaic, so Targumic Aramaic and then Biblical Aramaic. And then when I got to Hopkins, I took what felt like a million years of Akkadian, but a lot of Akkadian, tons of Sumerian. I wrote my dissertation on Sumerian liturgical and literary texts. I took a semester of Ugaritic at Hopkins. I took Hebrew all 3 years of coursework at Hopkins, and then I did a. Anyway, yes, we both know German and French. I studied in Tübingen for a year in Germany on a Fulbright scholarship. That's my linguistic background.
There we go. AG is saying he'd love to hear more about, or she, sorry, don't know. Love to hear more about Enki and his sometimes contentious relationship with the other Sumerian gods.
Oh.
Enki is a special dude. Very special. Actually, he came up a lot last week, didn't he? Are you reading about penises?
I am.
He's reading about penises. Enki's penis size is better.
By lifting his penis, he brought a bridal gift.
I mean, whatever works.
Sorry.
And someone...
Proverbs collection 16. A shepherd's sex appeal is his penis. A gardener's sex appeal is his hair.
Okay. Got to love ancient proverbs. I'm not quite sure what to do with that.
Proverbs collection 4. We should just read these for an hour and a half. All day long, O penis, you ejaculate as if you have blood inside you, and then you hang like a damp reed.
That's a fantastic image.
Do you want me to read more?
There's a few questions on here, and then yes, we'll come back to the penises. Do Sumerian, Akkadian, etc. also read right to left? Nope, they read left to right, the opposite of Hebrew. Iron Charioteer, would you ever debate Mike Licona, a Christian theologian?
I don't know who that is.
Sure.
Yeah,
I'm agreeing on Josh's behalf because there's not a lot I can do with a Christian theologian. Because
the thing is,
the
thing is, it depends on who the theologian is, right? So, and it depends on what we're debating. So, somebody in the last thing that I did with Skylar wanted me to exegete Ephesians 1:13 because I disagreed with them on what Ephesians 1:13 meant. So I said, well, give us your analysis of it. Well, it's not that I necessarily have a different internal critique or internal analysis of... Is that Thomas?
It's Thomas.
Okay. I don't know if you guys can hear that. He's playing with a bell.
Yes, I know.
Because I wouldn't necessarily disagree with... If I adopted his hermeneutic, it's not that I would necessarily disagree with how he interprets that text. What I disagree with is the hermeneutical approach. So I guess it depends on what a theologian.
Dirk Stevens said, have you ever signed a non-disclosure agreement with the Museum of the Bible? No. Not big fans of the Museum of the Bible. Never actually been. Read a lot about it. Complained vehemently when our church organized a trip to see it because that is not cool don't like that at all.
Why would we have signed I'm just interested
I'm
in
not sure.
non-disclosure agreement with them.
Digital Magic Pagan says 1 video a month, take an Ancient Aliens episode and destroy it. It's actually on kind of the to-do list to get more into the Ancient Aliens stuff. The problem with the Ancient Aliens TV show is it does a lot with archaeology, and neither of us are archaeologists. We've had a lot of archaeological training, but not a lot of experience. But it's definitely something I am interested in doing and trying to find experts like Dr. David Anderson, who was on the Non-Sex show last week. That's like what he does. He debunks ancient alien theories. So getting people like him on to go through some of the ridiculous claims that they make. So it's on the radar. That's going to happen at some point. And
Enki in the World Order. After he had turned his gaze from there, after Father Enki had lifted his eyes across the Euphrates, he stood up, full of lust, like a rampant bull, lifted his penis. Now, this doesn't specifically talk about the size, but you have to kind of get it from the details. Ejaculated and filled the Tigris with flowing water.
there we go.
Okay, enough.
We'll also
Penis
be going
text.
through some, and as well as doing a live stream. So for those who joined us more recently, we're going to be doing, for our 1000th subscriber live stream, we're going to be doing a special edition of the Digital Hammer Book Club, the Sitchin edition. We won't read through the whole of any of his books because they are long and complicated. And I just don't have the
And in
strength.
some
And
ways
you will
not
see me
complicated.
so full of rage.
Yeah.
And it's not a nice thing to look at. So we'll go through some of my more fury-inducing passages and tell you why they're wrong. But also, as well as that, I want to do some individual videos on specifically the Sumerian evidence, because there's a lot of misinformation out there about how to translate words like Anunnaki, which is not what he says it is.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody is watching that, well, maybe he talks about it in the book. I don't know. I've only read the first like 3 or 4 chapters. Primarily, I hate to say this, but primarily because there are other books that are more pressing that I need to read for the daily data. But if anybody knows, does he talk about those who from heaven to earth? Okay, because that's such a. Is it from the word Anunnaki?
I think.
It's such a
I think
weird.
very loosely, Anunnaki is supposed to be sky people.
Yeah, but, I mean, it's such a weird.
We will go through it.
Okay.
It's wrong, is what you need to take away from
Yes.
this particular live stream, and join us for our 1000th live stream. Godless Iwan is saying, is the Tigris salty? No, it's freshwater, which leads to all kinds of interesting questions about Enki's physiology.
But I can tell you, it doesn't indicate that he's infertile.
No.
We will read all of those stories here. 'Cause-
We will. We should do just like a
Yeah, like Enki.
Digital Hammer Hobby, the erotic book club. Actually, that would work quite well, because for
That's
those who don't follow us on Twitter, last week there was a thing going around, and actually I don't think I told you about this. There was a thing going around the academic Twitter sphere. Academics, what random fact would your colleagues be surprised to learn about you? My random fact was I used to be the fiction editor for Erotic Women's Magazine. So I've read about more heaving bosoms than I would really care to mention. And if I ever see the phrase heaving bosom again, I might scream. Because bosoms don't heave. It's not an erotic image. It's especially not an erotic image for a woman. And
It's for like a 13-year-old boy.
Maybe, yeah, but this was a magazine for women. Anyway, so actually doing an erotic episode of the Digital Hammer Book Club would work nicely, but we need to work out how to phrase the title so it doesn't sound like
Doesn't say
we
heaving
ourselves are being erotic. Anyway, Goddess Iwan, how about taking on Chariot of the Gods? I've not actually read it, but sure.
Is that a YouTuber?
Yeah, I was about to explain it. And now I'm not sure if I need to. I'm just going to not say anything. Iron Charioteer, what do you think about those Inca relics, Tetukian, I can't say that looked like it was made by an advanced civilization? Not an advanced civilization made by humans. pretty damn sure.
Was there?
And actually, that's something that came up when we talked to Dr. David Anderson, because he's a Mesoamerican archaeologist. They're human-made. Yep, there we go. That was easy. Is the let's see. Oh, Godless Iwan says that Mrs. Snarky's bosom heaves. So, well, I've never had that substantial a bosom, so maybe that's where the heaving thing is confusing to me.
Just heave, is it? Strange word. I wouldn't have come up with the word heave.
No.
It sounds like a bad thing to do so dryly.
Oh, wow. Goddess Iwan. Mrs. Snarky's bosom heaves generally when she sees a throbbing member. See, that's another word that throbbing. No. Why? If your member is throbbing, you need to get yourself to a doctor. Quite quickly, I'd recommend. That's just no. Rachel Easton, what do you think of those Ubaid period figurines that people claim are lizard people?
Oh,
I don't think they're
the ones with
people.
the shoulders that are really broad.
I think that's a very stylized depiction of the human form, because people hadn't been making human forms for that long, and actually it's quite difficult to carve stone.
And actually, as you and again, not an art historian, but the type of stylized, particularly like figures in the round, they start to develop, but they're very, like, I'm thinking of Uruk.
It's stuff like that is like looking at the wall paintings produced by the Egyptians and saying, well, because they have this really weird perspective, maybe they all walked around like this all the time. No, I mean, no one actually thinks that. That's just how they depicted people. This is an artistic style. It's not supposed to be a one-to-one representation.
The only thing that we really do know about the Egyptians is that they walked like this. That's the only thing that we know. For sure.
That's all we know for sure. Yes. Godless Iwan says, if your throbbing member lasts for over 4 hours, please go to the ER. Yep, good advice.
What is the what's the show that we used to watch? Bob's Burgers.
Please don't drug me.
Please don't drug me. Well, see.
Oh, that poor man.
Sometimes,
poor man.
Sometimes you want to ride the roller coaster more than once. Please don't
I'm
drug
going
me.
to promise live on air I will never drug you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
How did it come to this?
Well, I mean, people are amused by our bizarre...
Well, that's good. I feel like our numbers are steadily dropping.
They are. That's fine. Well, we've left the educational part of the show, and now we're just...
Well, it's a different kind of education now.
It's education about how to write good erotic fiction without throbbing members.
Well,
we should probably end. I should go to sleep.
Yeah, we've been going for a little over 2 hours.
Because Oliver's going to be waking up soon, and he'll be feeding, and I need to sleep before.
Guys, thank you. I mean...
Oh, okay, so Godless Iwan, sorry, before we go, makes a good point. Josh didn't say he would never drug me.
Yeah, is there a need to do that?
No.
I mean...
It's true. He's very sexy. You are.
Well,
I married you for a reason.
I apologize. I will never drug you.
Thank you. Before we go, I'm going to read out our announcements again for those who missed it. Oh, excuse me, missed it before. Daily data. So we've been doing them. We've been doing videos 5 days a week. It's kind of crippling Josh. I've taken a step back because I'm trying to write a paper and get my dissertation completed. So I finally convinced him that he should only do 3 videos a week. So we'll maintain the good quality of what we do, because it requires quite a lot of research on his part to produce the videos. So we're going back to 3 days a week.
But, sorry, one of the things that we did just purchase is something called Crazy Talk 8, which I've told you more now than I know about it. But it looks like it's designed to, like, as you talk, create
animate
what you say.
Package.
So I feel like it's gonna
be fun.
Yeah, so look for that. And that's what it was. So because we're only doing 3 a week, I'm trying to get them done during the weekend.
Right.
Okay. which means that if you are a Patreon, is it every Patreon?
Every Patreon.
Every level of Patreon will get those. We're going to try to upload them on Sunday. Is that right?
Yep.
That's the goal. So Patreons will get to see them
in advance.
If
that's the kind of thing that floats your boat, go to our Patreon, because all money raised on that goes to our summer scholarship program, where we offer the scholarship to a PhD student to carry out research, and then they come back and tell you guys about the research. So you not only help fund good scholarship, you get to learn about what your money is doing. Also, for our 1000 sub celebration, I think I mentioned that we're going to do the Sitchin edition of Digital Hammurabi's book club. And finally, on October the 13th, we are having the wonderful Jens Notroff, I always get the name wrong, on. He is an archaeologist from Göbekli Tepe, not built by aliens. Neither Göbekli Tepe nor Jens Notroff were built by aliens, in case that was unclear. So he's going to come on and tell us about his research and the site and why it wasn't built by aliens and anything else you wish to ask him. So I'll keep reminding you about that as we go. And I think that was everything I have.
You're like the most gorgeous woman. I just keep looking at you on the camera. I love you.
Awesome.
So
thank you all for joining us. This
Yes.
was a lot of fun. I'm sorry we got a little derailed at points,
but then we
but it was a lot
re-railed
of
it.
fun, so that's all good. And remember, throbbing members, go see a doctor. Godless Iwan joined our Patreon. You're
Aw.
amazing. You're amazing. Oh, and Brant says, tell them about covering the Patreon charges. Don't forget to, right. So, because Patreon charges people, or however much you give, they take a percentage out to cover their own fees, because we want all the money you donate to go right to the scholarship fund. We are covering 100% of Patreon's charges, Patreon's fees. So if you give $5, all of that $5 will go to the scholarship fund. We will cover the
if they take
50
$2
cents,
from it or whatever it is,
that they charge.
we'll put that in.
And finally, Doorknob Head says, don't forget to turn off the stream, possibly because of all the penis-related talk this evening. We will not forget. Thank you.
I was going to say something and I can't remember what it is now. Oh, I know. It had to do with the scholarship. Oh, so the scholarship, I'll talk about this at a time when, well, probably several times in the near term. And then I will end the stream, I promise. But because when I feel like you're giggling when you see funny things over there, we want to give, even though it's a summer scholarship, we want to give people enough lead time to prepare their proposals and submit them to us and let us go through them and then present them to you. So we're trying to get the majority of that money raised by the first couple months of 2019.
The problem is if we advertise it as like a $2,000 scholarship, we've raised maybe 600 and then all of our Patreons drop out. We're kind of on the line for couple of hundred, few hundred, which we don't really have. So we'd rather not do that.
Yeah. So if we can't, I mean, what I don't want to do from a business standpoint, which is, my brain works that way. What I don't want to do is promise somebody $2,500 when we don't have $2,500. If we're close, and we have to eat $300-400, okay, I'm okay with that. But so if that means that come March, we don't have enough money, or projected at least to have enough money, we probably won't be able to do it this coming year, and we'll just have to save it for the following year. And that's okay, if that's what we need to do. Maybe we do two scholarships the following year. But we'd like to do it for the 2019 summer. So be thinking about that, consider it, and tell your friends. Okay, if you haven't liked the stream, please do so. That really helps us out. If you haven't subscribed, we'd love to have you subscribe. And
thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much. And remember, until next time, resist poor scholarship. Always ask.
How do you know that?
Have a good night, guys.